So our families worked together out in Diamond Valley farming, but they also took part in the Diamond Valley Watershed Project. Could you tell us more about that?
Well, the Diamond Valley Watershed Project was started by Ewald, Bauch, and my father, Edgar Paddock. And they got all the neighbors together, and the purpose of it was to put in water saving excuse me, devices and farming practices to keep flash floods from coming through Augusta, because every once in a while flash flood would come through Augusta and do a bunch of damage. The actual federal bill that had provided money for that sort of thing was something or other 06, 806 it sounds, I remember it, but anyway, S806. It really doesn't matter. And yes, the farmers in turn for getting some of this flood prevention money, and they had like 3 dams on the headwaters of the Diamond Valley Creek, because it was the principal stream that flooded the Augusta. And the dams were not a dam like we normally think of. They were designed so that they held water back from a flash flood and metered it through a pipe, is what it really was. So it would control the amount of water that came down versus it all coming down at once to Augusta and flooding it. And those 3 dams, one of them still exists. The other 2 have gone into disrepair, and when those original farmers were no longer here and didn't have the water conservation practices, it's sort of, and plus the funding quit and couldn't support itself. It was quite a project, really, to start with. Yeah, everybody was. One of the dams went on the principal stream of the Diamond Valley Creek, and so it was right up in the headwaters, and it held a little pond, I don't remember, 5-6 acres, but they stocked it with trout because it was cold water fishery, and all the neighbors all fished, would go fish trout.
Now we would go fishing when I was a kid. Dad would call it the puddle. Would this be the puddle?
That would probably be the puddle.
The puddle, because it looked like a big crater had hit it or something. Yep. I just never knew that was part of a project.
Yeah, it was, because it was an earthen dam. The dam was made out of earth. The structure where you, if you will, metered out the water through stop logs and that sort of thing was made of treated wood, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I never realized growing up here that Augusta really did have a pretty big role to play in conservation. We had the CCC program, the school forest, we had Coon Fork developed, we had Lake Eau Claire, just the waterways, the big plow contest in 1950s. That was all about land usage and...
Yes, it was. It was, and I think some of those original farmers. I know my great grandpa Gerke was had a conservation ethic, made little ponds, made sure that they put in waterways so they didn't have erosion, washed away the soil. My dad was so concerned about soil that I remember one of the few times that I remember he being sort of cross with my mother, was she went out in the field and dug up soil and to put into her planting boxes for her tuberous begonias. And he said, when you go do that, go dig it out of the ditch. Well, it takes 1,000 years to grow, you know, an inch of soil. And of course, but yeah, people understood that. They took care, and they really did. And people now have figured out they're, I think, doing a better job of taking care of the soil. Cover crops, leaving material on the soil so it doesn't get washed away and all that sort of stuff. It's you know, not only for trees, but you know, soil is where everything we have comes from. If you really sit and think about it,
Absolutely.
everything we eat comes out of the soil,
Yeah.
one way or another. It may go through a cow first before it gets to us, and cheese and milk and that sort of thing. But it's, you got good soil, you're going to have a good